The walls of the serving command palace shatter as Seo Yun-hyun bursts into the harsh desert air, escaping the carnage inside. Yuan Li, cloaked in a crimson mist and wielding menacing power, pursues relentlessly. Even with the nascent soul cultivator on his heels, Seo Yun-hyun pushes his speed and consciousness to their limits, desperate to outpace the blood mist and avoid the spells closing in from behind. Despite unleashing every technique he knows, he finds that his usual methods of hiding and evasion are useless against Yuan Li's overwhelming perception. Realizing he must transcend the usual boundaries, he strains his mind and martial arts to cut not just through consciousness, but through the very fabric of heaven and earth's energies, hiding himself in a gap even Yuan Li cannot immediately find. But Yuan Li isn't so easily fooled, and soon unleashes a spell that annihilates everything in a vast radius. By a twist of fate, with the help of young Hun Hum Yin's guidance and a desperate grasp at a mysterious technique, Seo Yun-hun manages to slip through a spatial rift. Yet even as he burns his own upper dantian in the process, he finds himself inexplicably drawn back toward the serving command palace, victim to the powerful pull of the serving command seal. An artifact Yuan Li reveals to be the source of fate's attraction in this world. No matter how Seo Yun-hyun struggles, the seal's mystical gravity ensures that he cannot escape Yuan Li's grasp. Yuan Li, obsessed with Seo Yun-hyun's resilience and talent, impales him with a series of blood-cursed banners, inflicting excruciating pain designed to break even the strongest minds. Despite being racked with agony, Seo Yun-hyun clings to a fleeting sense of enlightenment, only for it to slip away under the force of Yuan Li's curses. Yuan Li explains the artifact's secrets, taunting him with the inevitability of fate and the impossibility of escape. As Seo Yun-hyun is dragged to the palace's arboretum, he refuses to surrender his will. Even as he is plucked like a living flower, he resolves to stand firm and reach for the sky, refusing to let his spirit be broken. In a final act of defiance, Seo Yun-hyun unleashes curses against Yuan Li, only to be overwhelmed and struck down by the fifth and final blood-cursed banner. The mental pain is so intense that even Yuan Li is convinced no living being could endure it. As Seo Yun-hyun collapses, Yuan Li prepares to dispose of him, only for Seo Yun-hyun to stagger back to his feet, still resisting. Alarmed by this unthinkable resilience, Yuan Li abandons hope of controlling him and decides to end him once and for all. Seo Yun-hyun completes a final spell as he is struck by Yuan Li's killing blow, his blood transforming into a crimson tree crowned with a living flower, his life force and spiritual energy blooming at the sight of his death. Yuan Li, shaken by the encounter, turns to collect the longevity fruit, only to find them all withered and cursed by Seo Yun-hyun's dying magic. Furious, Yuan Li attempts to process what happened, only for something inexplicable to occur. He is suddenly overcome, and in an instant he too explodes, giving rise to another living flower, signifying Seo Yun-hyun's 10th return through the cycle of regression. Awakening once more in the familiar forest, all memories of the previous life's brutal end come rushing back, especially the encounter with the nascent soul cultivator Yuan Li. This time, something is wrong. 5 blood-red flags, the 5 elements, blood-cursed banner, are now embedded in the soul, a lingering curse from Yuan Li that did not disappear with return. Pain is excruciating, but after waiting for Yuan Li's intent to dissipate, it's possible to partially reclaim control, though the restraint remains stubbornly embedded. Reflecting on the nature of fate and the dangers that now accompany each regression, there is a newfound wariness. Return is not invincible, and spiritual restraints follow through cycles. Searching for solace and restoration, the yellow bamboo roots once again help harmonize body and dantian, easing the burden of consciousness. Yet the curse remains, its nature reminiscent of the Yin Soul Ghost incantation founded on the principle of the 5 elements within the mind. By comprehending its structure, some control is regained. Though a final solution remains elusive, there's hope that the arriving heavenly being cultivators might offer assistance, but for now, survival and recovery are the priority. As the sun sets, the urge to rest and live as a human, not a tool of fate, grows stronger, a resolve inspired by memories of Kim Young-hoon. That night, a core formation demon fox, the very beast that had once torn off an arm in every prior life, appears and demands tribute for trespass. With new power and clarity, the tables turn. A fierce battle erupts. The severing mountain swordsmanship, wielded through the formless sword, dominates the fox at every turn, shattering illusions, countering spells, and transforming the battlefield. The Fox's most powerful attacks are met and overwhelmed, its pride and strength battered by a relentless onslaught. Finally, the Fox is forced into submission, vomiting its demon core and fleeing, reduced to a mere animal, its terror and defeat a stark reversal of countless lifetimes of humiliation. With the demon core in hand and the Fox vanquished, a sense of triumph and freedom blossoms. A fate long endured, now overcome. There is hope that perhaps with these newfound strengths and lessons, the companions can at last escape ascension path together and carve out a new destiny. Just as plans are made to heal, recover, and move forward, an ominous presence interrupts. A hunchbacked old man with madness in his eyes seizes him, signaling that new and unpredictable challenges are about to unfold. The moment the Mad Lord appears, an oppressive force paralyzes all movement, rendering resistance impossible. He probes deeply, his gaze dissecting both body and mind, marveling at the contradiction of a mortal consciousness rivaling the late chi building stage while lacking cultivation. His interest is piqued, questioning if the protagonist is even human. As the Mad Lord examines a glimpse into his heart, essence reveals a blackened, withered tree, a core of despair and madness sustained by the faintest thread of life. The exchange is mutual. The Mad Lord quickly realizes his own heart. Essence has been seen and reacts with manic delight at finding another with this rare vision. Suddenly, the Mad Lord forcibly invades consciousness, intent on remaking his subject into something superior, as if studying him could bring him closer to a lost love. The protagonist's mind reels under the assault, but the five elements' blood-cursed banner flares to life, repelling the intrusion with searing pain. Undeterred, the Mad Lord tries again, tracing the spell energy back to its source and launching a curse. He speculates on connections to the Bloodwood practitioner, then loses interest in explanations, confident he can extract the truth himself. A desperate gambit is attempted, warning the Mad Lord of the Bloodwood practitioner's true nature as a disguised nascent soul plotting to devour the world. The Mad Lord is unimpressed, having long since killed his own clan for the sake of his beloved, and is unmoved by appeals to kinship. Instead, he ponders the similarities in spells and sets his sights on extracting the soul of the Bloodwood practitioner, his curse turning blood red as his intent sharpens. At this critical moment, Deputy Manager, oh hi, Seo's power stirs the elements, summoning wind and rain. The sky shudders as the Sea Dragon King, Seo Hueo, arrives in a flash of blue lightning, confronting the Mad Lord. Their powers clash, the air thick with tension as the Mad Lord threatens destruction with his mysterious box, and Seo Hueo counters, urging restraint in light of the Ascension Gate's imminent opening. Yet the standoff escalates, and the Mad Lord unleashes the box, releasing chaos across Ascension Path. Water engulfs the vast domain in an instant, scattering everyone. Amidst the flood, the protagonist races to rescue colleagues, using internal energy to keep them alive. Above, the real battle rages as heavenly. Being cultivators from all the major sects and clans arrive, their power reshaping the land and sky. Jin Byuk-ho, the golden divine heavenly thunder sect's master, disperses the storm with golden lightning, and a tense confrontation erupts among the gathered powers. The Mad Lord, undaunted, threatens annihilation, his hand ever on the box, but Seo Whale mediates, and an uneasy truce is reached. Attention shifts to the scattered mortals below. The heavenly beings begin to select disciples from among the protagonist's companions, each drawn by unique talents and rare constitutions. John Myung-hoon, Kang Min-hee, Oh Hyung-seok, and Deputy Manager Oh Hye-seo are claimed by the powerful Jin Byuk-ho, Black Ghost Valley's elder, the Azure Tiger Saint, the Holy Peng King, and the Mighty Tiger King all vie for them, but strength and seniority settle the matter. Each colleague is swept away toward a new fate, leaving only the protagonist, Kim Young-hoon, and manager, Kim Yun. The remaining heavenly beings probe for hidden talents, but find nothing extraordinary, dismissing them as ordinary and leaving them behind. Before leaving, Seo Hoel hands over a demon beast cultivation method and a treasure, asking a favor in return, his tone gentle but chillingly final. The Sea Dragon King's warning is unmistakable. Any mention of the Bloodwood practitioner would mean death. The Mad Lord, meanwhile, eyes the plump lady in white and manager Kim Yeon, hinting at future danger. With the chaos settled, the protagonist and Kim Young-hoon are left in Ascension Path, the Fox's demon core still in hand, saved from theft by the Azure Tiger Saint's intervention. As the others depart through the Ascension Gate, the protagonist reassures Kim Young-hoon and begins to absorb the core's immense energy, resolving to grow stronger. Months pass, and through arduous cultivation, The protagonist regains strength, advances to the first constellation of key building, and forms the Horn spiritual star, extending life and power. Ready for the next challenge looming beyond the horizon. Dark clouds gather as a sign from the heavens, but they do nothing to halt the newfound flow of pure spiritual force within. With the aid of the demon fox's core, the stage of chi building is reached, granting a lifespan stretching over 3 centuries. Kim Young-hoon, now a peak master, stands ready to follow further on the path of cultivation and is expected to reach even greater heights before long. As the time comes to leave the ascension path, anticipation grows for the world beyond. Their journey takes them through the harsh expanse of the heaven-treading desert, a place that drains both body and spirit. After enduring days without water, battered by a relentless sandstorm, they finally arrive at Cheonseok City. Presenting themselves as members of a desert tribe, they gain entry, and a kind woman in white, herself a cultivator, offers them water and new clothes. She is recognized as someone who had once offered similar kindness in a past life, and a warm moment of gratitude passes between them. Her shop, filled with finely crafted magic artifacts, hints at her talent, and her generosity helps restore the travelers. Refreshed and dressed anew, they travel through Byokra, pay distant respects to the Chungmun clan, visit former disciples, and make their way to the ominous Black Wind Sea. Here, plans are set in motion to confront old curses and perhaps secure the longevity fruit for Kim Young-hoon. The memory of a forbidden spell that can nurture such a fruit without stealing life force lingers as a possibility. The meeting with Seo-ran is straightforward. Trust is gained through a display of strength and the presentation of a powerful cultivation method. Together, they approach Songjin, the ghostly remnant in the depths of the nether crossing ship. Unfazed by the ghost's baleful aura this time, resolve is firm. The chapter closes as the confrontation is about to begin, with the protagonist ready, formless sword in hand, to claim what is needed for the next step in their journey. Songjin, wary and defensive, confronts me with suspicion, unsettled by my presence and oddity of my technique. He launches a fierce attack, sending waves of bone skeletons to overwhelm me. But my formless sword, refined through centuries of study and collaboration with Kim Young-hoon, cuts down his spells with overwhelming skill. Each exchange exposes the widening gulf between our abilities, and Songjin, despite transforming into a monstrous ghost, cannot gain the upper hand. I recall the legendary Mad Lord, reminding Songjin that surviving such a foe is no disgrace, which leaves him silent and reflective. With the momentum shifted, I reveal my goal: to help Seo-ran recover an heirloom left by his mother, once a disciple of Black Ghost Valley. Songjin's suspicion flares, but after weighing our words and the overwhelming difference in strength, he grants us half a day to search the haunted nether crossing ship for the relic. Guided by memories from a past life, I quickly lead Seo-ran to the hidden room where his mother's jade slip is kept. Seo-ran's gratitude is profound, but our directness raises Songjin's suspicion about my connection to Seo-ran's mother. I offer a plausible story to soothe his concerns, and Songjin, although unconvinced, allows us to proceed. Before we can leave, he insists that Seo-ran read his mother's will in his presence. As Seo-ran reads, tears flow and the ghostly flames in Songjin's eyes soften, revealing the pain and affection he harbors for Seo-ran's mother. His grief and anger surface, blaming Seo-ran for the hardships endured by the one he cherished. Yet even as he scolds, his spectral form reveals a sorrowful, tear-streaked human face beneath the ghostly veneer. Seo-ran, undeterred, bows and pleads for stories by his mother, yearning for connection and understanding after a lifetime of rejection and loneliness. Songjin is overwhelmed, his ghostly energy surging, but when I disperse it and gently encourage him, his heart opens. He sits and, after a long silence, begins to speak with Seo-ran. Their conversation, at first heavy and halting, grows animated as they share memories and emotions deep into the night and through the following days. As I step outside onto the ship's deck beneath the open sky, I reflect on the power of breaking free from fate, forging new connections, and reshaping the future. The bond formed between Seo-ran and Songjin, once unimaginable, now quietly grows within the cabin. In the end, Songjin chooses to take Seo-ran as his disciple, a miracle born of unexpected kinship and the willingness to embrace a different path. Seoran and Songjin, now connected as master and disciple, expressed their gratitude for the help they've received. Seoran promises to repay any future favor 3 times, and Songjin, as a master, offers 3 requests in gratitude. Seeking to resolve the curse on his upper dantian, the protagonist asks if Songjin can remove it. Songjin, after verifying the nature of the curse, admits he cannot dissolve it in his current state, though he could have when alive, as it was cast by Bloodwood practitioner Yuan Li using a powerful Dharma treasure. Instead, Songjin offers a technique called the One Emotion Method, which would allow the protagonist to gradually master and ultimately transform the curse into his own technique. For his second request, the protagonist chooses to receive the Silica Earth Great Wall Practice, a cultivation method that enables manipulation of dragon veins and grants immense power when defending a rooted location, though it loses effectiveness if one leaves that area. For the final request, he simply asks Songjin to teach Xiu Ran well, prompting Songjin to promise another favor in the future since this was already his intention. With the One Emotion Method in hand and a plan to resolve the curse within several decades, the protagonist turns his attention to extending Kim Young-hoon's lifespan. He considers combining Dragon Vein energy with Yuan Li's longevity spell a risky and ambitious idea, but decides that knowledge, especially of formations, is the next step. He resolves to seek out Chungmun Ryong, an expert in formations. After leaving the Black Wind Sea and meeting with Kim Young-hoon, he's impressed by Kim's rapid progression towards 5 energies, converging to the origin, attributing his growth to independent assimilation and understanding. Believing Kim will improve faster on his own, he suggests they part ways, and after some persuasion, Kim agrees. The protagonist then heads to Byokra, the territory of the Chongmun clan, carefully following etiquette appropriate for his visible realm. He announces himself to the clan, requests a meeting with Chungmun Ryong, and is warmly received by Chungmun Dan, with whom he shares tales of martial experience while waiting. After several days, he is finally invited to the main house and comes face to face with Chungmun Ryong, who turns out to be his master from a previous life, now appearing as Cultivator Chungmun. The reunion is filled with mixed emotions as they greet each other as equals in their current incarnations. Chungmun Ryong welcomes a visit to discuss the creation of a formation capable of accelerating the growth of heaven and earth, spiritual plants, specifically the rare and incredibly valuable longevity fruit. At first, he criticizes the inefficiency of the formation structure, but becomes deeply interested when presented with the detailed research on the longevity tree and its surrounding dragon vein. Realizing the potential of ripening such a treasure, Chungmun Ryong decides the matter is important enough to consult the clan head, especially with the chaos left by many heavenly being cultivators ascending through the open ascension gate. The two spend the night in deep discussion, and by morning, Chungmun Ryong is impressed enough to call his guest Taoist, a term denoting both respect and camaraderie. There is a bittersweet feeling accompanying this recognition, as the protagonist wonders if one day even the title of senior will be used, marking a shift in the relationship's balance. Later, Chungmun Dan joins in, expressing admiration for the protagonist's knowledge and lamenting the undisciplined younger generation of the Chongmun clan. He complains about their obsession with women and the corrupting influence of the infamous Mad Lord, whose legendary talent for crafting artifacts and manipulating formations has inspired others to chase after those with similar, though usually inferior, gifts. Chongmun Dan shares his frustrations about Byok Moon-son, heir of the Byok clan, who has found someone with a rare talent called Extraordinary Pattern Law. Talent, though only a 4 pattern, which is considered average and far below the Mad Lord's 1 pattern demonic genius. This woman's presence has caused a stir, with many heirs from several clans vying for her attention and abilities, leading to chaos and disorder among the younger cultivators. Chungmun Ryong returns from the main house, announcing the clan's decision to support the formation plan and, as a solution to the artifact craftswoman problem, to officially kidnap her under the pretense of commissioning her to create the necessary magic artifacts. Their logic is that, by keeping her busy and under their protection, the Chongmun clan can keep the unruly heirs at bay and proceed with the formation research. The protagonist is initially taken aback by the proposal, but the elders insist it is both for the clan's benefit and, arguably, for the craftswoman's own good given her current predicament. Accepting the plan, they set out eastward to Byokra, aiming to secure the cooperation of the four pattern artifact craftswomen. Along the way, the protagonist reflects on the Chungmung clan's bold but not entirely ill-intentioned methods, realizing that sometimes their aggressiveness is simply a different way of caring, or at least justifying their actions. As Byokra appears on the horizon, the protagonist has a growing suspicion about the identity of the craftswoman they are seeking, bracing for the encounter to come. Chungmun Ryong and Chungmun Den arrive in Cheonsek City amid a sandstorm, searching for a talented artisan connected to their clan's urgent business. They find her location surrounded by descendants of various clans, all cultivators, some even at the Chi building stage, vying for her attention. As the Chungmun pair attempt to take her by force, they're blocked by Buk Jung-ho, her father, and a powerful late Chi building cultivator who insists on respecting the last will of his daughter's mother. She must wait in Cheonsik City for her betrothed, who would come with a token. Unable to forcibly take her, the Chongmun duo settle for waiting, deciding to study magic artifacts in the city. They command the gathered cultivators to disperse, but are informed of an ongoing bet. The artisan, Bukliang Hua, has challenged the late-stage cultivators. If anyone can handle her magic artifacts to her standard, she'll travel with them. The standard is to draw out at least 60% of an artifact's power, though she doubts anyone can reach even 20%. Many attempt and fail, including a prominent Gongmyo clan heir who is humiliated for his lack of skill. Even Bukhayang Hua's father says he can only draw out 80% of her magic artifact power. The mood among the cultivators sours until Byok Mun Song, a renowned sword cultivator of the Byok clan, steps up. With great effort, he manages to reach the 6th strike, barely 60% on a sword artifact, claiming success. But when pressed, it's clear to the crowd and the artisan that he has only barely met the standard through brute force, not understanding. At this point, the protagonist, Seo Un-hyun, intervenes. With a wordless demonstration, he infuses one of the sword artifacts with spiritual force, easily surpassing each threshold, drawing out 100%, then 100% of the artifact's power, revealing his overwhelming understanding of the sword. The crowd is stunned. Buk Hayanghua is left speechless, her pride wounded when Seo Yun-yun refuses to accept any of her artifacts, insisting he has no need for them. Unable to accept this, she insists on giving him better swords of her own creation. Each time, Seo Un-hyun effortlessly surpasses their limits, further astonishing her. Despite his repeated refusals, Hayang Hua, driven by pride and inspiration, decides to create something even better for him, vowing to develop a sword artifact worthy of his skill while they collaborate on developing formation artifacts for the Chongmun clan's project. Meanwhile, Byakmun Song, humiliated by his defeat, harbors resentment and ambition, plotting to win Buk Hanhwa over in the future, convinced her talent could make him a clan head. Later, as Buk Hanhwa works deep into the night, forging new sword artifacts inspired by Seo Unhyun, he observes her unique four-pattern talent manifesting on her skin, her creative process bordering on obsession. Even as Seo Unhyun easily draws out the power of her latest swords, Hyunghwa is lost in inspiration, the merging of colors in her pattern hinting at a talent that surpasses the ordinary prodigy, spurring her to even greater heights. After a failed attempt at merging two artifact patterns, Buk Hanghwa stubbornly returns to her workshop, undeterred by setback. Days later, Seoran sends word that the Nether Crossing ship can be used in exchange for spirit stones, news that excites the Chongmon clan. Chongmung Jungjin, the clan head, personally brings a vast sum of spirit stones to secure passage, and the group, including Buk Hyunghwa, Chongmun Ryong, and Jungjin, sets off by flying artifact toward the Black Wind Sea. Along the way, Buk Hyunghwa shares the story behind her Jade Norigai and her mother's pact, hinting at her reluctance to leave Cheonsek City except for meaningful journeys. Upon reaching the sea, they break through the barrier and find the legendary, battle-worn Nether Crossing ship, presided over by Song Jin. After negotiating the required spirit stones, with Song Jin giving a small discount upon recognizing their lineage, they board the ship. Songjin powers the vessel, which rises into the air and traverses the void, astonishing everyone but the protagonist, who is familiar with such journeys from past lives. The ship quickly delivers them to the floating, serving command palace. Inside, Buk Hanhwa is awestruck by the construction, recognizing the legendary artisan's work in the spiritual energy circuits and walls. While Jongjin explores the palace, Chongmun Ryong and the protagonist begin investigating the environment for a formation to mature the longevity fruit. With Buk Hwang Hua examining and recording every detail of the palace's mechanism. They discover remnants of the Mad Lord's puppets, which send Bukhayang Hua into a frenzy, especially when she finds an intact bee puppet. She reverently collects it, explaining her belief that what is trash to some can be treasure to those with the right connection. As Bukhayang Hua continues her study, she accidentally triggers a hidden mechanism while probing a non-repairing section of wall. The palace's restrictive pressure activates, instantly reducing everyone's cultivation by a major realm. While Chongmun Jongjin and others are severely weakened, the protagonist discovers that though spiritual power is suppressed, martial internal energy is unaffected and martial skills can still be used. Meanwhile, the guardian stone statues of the palace begin to repair and activate, growing stronger as spiritual energy returns. Bukhayang Hall hurries to reset the circuits and undo the restraint, while the protagonist prepares for whatever new danger is awakening within Serving Command Palace. While attempting to subdue the guardian statues within Serving Command Palace, concern arises over Bukhayang Hua's repairs to the palace's restraints and the possibility of alerting powerful figures like Chongmun Ryong or Chongmun Jin. Opting not to reveal too much power, the statues are dealt with using Gang Qi. Even as the statues regenerate, Bukhayang Hua completes her work, causing the oppressive golden order to dissipate and the statues to collapse once more. After checking on the others, it's clear Chongmun Ryong is unharmed, having utilized the wood attribute, spiritual energy, to his advantage. Chongmun Jungjin soon arrives and after explanations, reveals he discovered a strange barrier on the top floor when the golden order was triggered. Bukhayang Hua explains the palace's axes and golden orders, suggesting that by triggering the restraint again at the top floor, the phenomenon can be repeated. The group heads up together, and once the order is activated, a powerful barrier appears, surprising everyone with its density and the compressed space within. Even Chongmun Jongjin's forceful strike can't break through. After an hour, the order fades and the barrier vanishes. Jongjin decides to spend several days accumulating energy, hoping to break through the barrier using a secret clan technique. The group uses this time to finish their investigation and conceptualize the supporting formations and magical artifacts for the palace. With their work done, it's time to return to Cheonseik City, but curiosity about the barrier remains. Chongmun Ryong, not satisfied, insists on analyzing the barrier himself, worried about the risks of tampering with such a central formation. With Bukhayang Hua's help, the Golden Order is triggered multiple times to allow Chongmun Ryong to analyze the barrier thoroughly. After a day of careful study, he pinpoints the optimal spot to strike. As Chongmun Jongjin unleashes his power, the barrier cracks, only for a red light to surge out and envelop the entire palace, changing the nature of its prohibitions and trapping everyone inside. Attempts to breach the palace's walls are fruitless, and communications are cut off. Meanwhile, outside, Songjin observes the palace's transformation from the nether crossing ship, feeling no responsibility for those inside, but momentarily wondering about the escape routes he remembers from centuries past. Inside the cracked barrier lies a vast, empty library, stripped of all knowledge and haunted by a sinister formation drawn in blood. Recognition dawns that the markings are of the Sea Dragon tribe, perhaps the work of Seo Hueol. An ancient inscription on a bookshelf hints at a deeper, mocking intent regarding ascension and those who seek it. At the center of the room, a pedestal awaits the Serving Command seal, suggesting an untriggered mechanism. While investigating, both Chongmun Ryong and Bukhayang Hua uncover hidden formations, a pair of teleportation arrays, one on the floor and one on the ceiling. Though relief flickers at the chance of escape, Chongmun Ryong warns that only cultivators of sufficient strength can survive the spatial pressure of the array. Chongmun Jongjin, taking responsibility for their predicament, resolves to carry everyone out one at a time, starting with Chongmun Ryong. After the first trip, the teleportation array fades, revealing itself to be rechargeable and now rendered unusable until it draws more power from the palace. With ominous red light advancing and the threat of lethal traps growing, desperation mounts. The only hope is to use a forbidden method. After extracting a promise of secrecy from Bukhayang Hua, the formless sword is used to shield them both from the spatial pressure. With no time to lose, the two launch themselves into the teleportation array, leaving their fate and the mysteries of Serving Command Palace hanging in the balance.